Hey, what we're doing this time is we're going to again draw what you intend to make. Artists plan their artwork, whether it's a drawing or a painting or a sculpture or a dance choreography or music. They try to plan it out a little bit. And this is the way we're going to plan out your next assignment. It's going to be a coil pot. A coil method of construction is a very popular, well-known kind of traditional way of doing this. We are going to start out with a pinch pot. So we're going to there's another video on that. There's a pinch pot that's going to be, and again, remember those basic shapes that we drew? A pinch pot is a cylinder. So all you have to do to make a pinch pot for this is to make a cylinder. This could be the complete oval right there, but we're going to do some drawing up here. Okay, the pinch pot that we make for this coil pot, coil vessel, is going to be one that's different. The one that we made for the dome sculpture was very round, right? Because we made our sculpture on top of a round dome. This time, we want to make it flat. So if we were to slice this in half, it might look, as ideally it would look like that, even though it's not always that perfect. Okay, that's if you cut it in half. But to help make this look a little bit more like we're going to design it, we want to make this arc, and that arc right there. We're going to build right on top of there. And coils, I'm going to flash a little thing right in front of you. It's kind of that kind of idea. Okay, whoops, it's upside down, sorry. Okay, it's that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is we can kind of plan ahead a little bit by drawing some of these arcing lines. Now, honestly, if your drawing winds up being more straight angles, that's okay too, but I'm just going to try to help you make it look like what it might really look like. And we're not just going to do coils, and each coil is going to be about the size of your pencil, roughly about that big, maybe just a touch bigger. But we're going to put some design elements in it. So if you have these soft lines kind of set up ahead of time, that's not exactly where the coils are going to go, but I'm going to be able to introduce some design elements into that. And there's several different ones, and I have them kind of noted over here, and I'll show you that again. So you could start off with just a coil, and again, this is a plan. It's not a blueprint. You can change things up a little bit, but it's good to have a plan. And what I'm going to offer next is maybe, and I'm going to show several different things you can do, but I am going to show, you don't have to do all of them. Okay, so let's say we put some beads along there, and you could put 2 at a time if you wanted to, and then we would have a coil kind of wrapping around the beads, and it would drop down in here again and drop go over the top and over the top, and then this next coil, and remember a coil, and you can just kind of stop it like that. A coil is a piece of clay that you're going to roll under your fingertips like that. So it's round, it's like your finger. Okay, so we can kind of imagine it like that. Now I think this would be a great place to put another set of beads right there. And if you want to, you can just kind of show a bead at the end and maybe show one here too. And again, when you draw the end of a coil, don't worry about trying to make it look like it's going around the backside, because it's only a piece of paper. But we can kind of make the illusion just by drawing that little bump right there. And this one can kind of follow. And see how I'm kind of keeping these lines right here about the same distance from each other? So that's one thing you can do. If you needed to, we could make another coil to kind of fill in that space. We have another kind of a flat spot to work on top of. There, you could do a teardrop shape. You could construct a little, with your fingertips, a little teardrop shape. and maybe one right here too. And if you wanted to, you could put a bead right next to it. So there are options. Then a coil could go down in there and kind of make contact with those. And then this coil could have an end to it here that can go down in there and go like that. And we could even have maybe two teardrop shapes right there. And we could have a coil kind of just go right over there again. And again, this is something to work with. You don't have to copy this exactly. But when you finish yours, your actual pot, you should see some of the things that you have planned on doing. Just a couple more real fast. You could do something like a spiral. We could either make a disc, like a little coin that's a little thicker, and carve a little spiral into it, or we could roll out a coil and roll it up a little bit. But sometimes that's problematic to do it that way. So we could carve in a line in the clay. And if we did that a few times and let the coil kind of wrap over that, that would be, and I'm not going to finish this off. I'm just going to give you a couple more ideas. Yours would be maybe as tall as your hand, roughly. When we do this, we're going to try to make it about 5 or 6 inches tall. And here's my cell phone. My cell phone is just over 5 inches tall. Okay? And we're also going to make your coil pot about as wide as your cell phone, roughly. So check it out. That's about the same width as my cell phone. So if you needed a size, you can kind of just outline most cell phones. And mine's an iPhone 6. It's not a 6 Plus. It's not like the really big one. We don't want to go too big with this because your clay is harder to manage if it gets too big. But that's about how big we're going to make things. You could do a flower. We could make like a little half flower or a whole flower where you could make little petals. And again, we could construct these with our fingertips and score and attach these little things. You could score and attach a little piece right there and a little piece right there to make it look like there's a flower. Then, then the coil could go over that, and it would go all the way around. Okay, so, and there's also I thought of a rainbow. If you had, let's just put it right here. You will not do this many things. This is just a sample of ideas. You could do a rainbow. You could make a little piece of clay, a little half disc, and you could make it with 3 different pieces of clay, or you could make it with 1 piece of clay and take a tool and carve those lines in, and then you would have a coil going over that as well. Okay, so this is what your intention is, to draw something that you think you might like yours to look like. Again, my coils are about as thick as a pencil or so. Okay, so that down here, you're not really going to do anything. We may give you the option to do some carving, or if you did a flower up here, maybe we could make a little flower down here and score and attach it down there or something to kind of make the top and bottom match each other. But again, that's your idea. You can do beads, flowers, teardrops, spirals, rainbows. And if you think of something else that's kind of along those lines, that's great. And again, you're going to always have to plan out your work before you make it in clay. All right, there you go.